What's up and welcome back to our Daredevil spoiler cast for episode 4 of Born Again. Of course, I'm your host, Tim Geddes. I am joined today by the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Top of the morning to you, Tim.
Top of the morning to you as well. God, what a time for TV right now.
Yeah.
What are you watching besides just Daredevil? Like, what have you been watching recently?
Just finished Invincible Season 3.
Okay.
Which is great. And we should do a spoiler cast on that.
I mean, I'd love to. I just don't know. You're the only one so far that's finished it.
It's phenomenal.
People have been clamoring for opinions. Real quick, do you want to top level, spoiler free, give your thoughts on it?
Sure. I mean, this show is a little different for me though, because a lot of the stuff that are the big wow, incredible moments for me are pulled straight from the comic book. So none of this stuff was super surprising for me. But they did it very, very well, and it's a great storyline, and it's very, very incredibly violent. And I will tell you, I don't want to spoil it for people who are working up to that, but it's one of the big moments of the Invincible run and saga, and it's one of the more brutal ones. And I've been waiting for it to happen for the last 3 seasons, and it's here. And I'll just say shout out to Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Hell yeah,
does a great
JDM,
job.
Man. What a guy.
But definitely we should, when you finish watching that, even if it's a little longer down the road, I would
like to.
Just do a 15-minute catch-up on it, because it's Invincible. It's just that show that's just there and great and continues to just be great, and you forget about it because we're spoiled. We
are so spoiled, man. Yeah, I'm finally caught up on Severance, so just in time for the finale, which
literally got us. I'm on like episode 2
of season 1. Yeah, it's so good, Nick.
I know.
It really, really
I know.
is.
I almost queued it up last night, but I was like,
that's a focus show. That's
I
lock
gotta
the
figure
fuck
that one
in
out.
type shit.
Sure.
And then White Lotus also. Like, I am such a fan of that show. Every season has just been such a stressful roller coaster in completely different ways. And this season it's off the rails, man. Like, the choices that they are making.
Yeah.
It's just insane stuff. But God, what a time for TV, including this show, Daredevil, Born Again. Remember, for the remaining weeks of the show, we're going to try to every single week get whoever in the office has seen the episode and ready to talk about it together. Hopefully, I'm trying to get Bless, because Bless is just a little behind. He's 1 episode behind. I'm trying to get him for next week. So we'll see if that shakes out.
I would be nice to. I think he'd like this show.
Yeah, I mean, he's liking it. He's a big fan of the Netflix Defender saga as well. So definitely trying to get him on this, and want Andy and Greg to return as well. But today you get me and you get Nick, and guess what? You're going to like it. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays, MeUndies, and Factor. We'll tell you all about that later. Nick, Daredevil, episode 4. I overheard you earlier saying that you think this might be your favorite episode so far.
Yeah, me and Barrett were talking, and I think Barrett was a bit down on it. He said he thought it dragged a little bit and was kind of getting boring, and I sort of felt the opposite, only because I was watching this with the subtitles on, as one does, because doing various loads of laundry or cooking or doing whatever, you got to have the subtitles on. And I found myself rewinding it, because I think there are moments in this, specifically his back and forth between his new client, who I think the character's name was Leroy, talking about the caramel corn, all that stuff. And then I really, really was fascinated by the conversation with the DA, where they were sitting there and just having a very, really deep, complicated back and forth, like sparring match about the criminal justice system and whether or not the concept of deterrence works. And in that, like, little 2-minute scene where we're going back and forth, and they're basically using his client as an example. It was just really deep and interesting stuff for me. And so, oftentimes with superhero stuff, the side gig, the main gig, is sort of just the B story for it. Yeah. And I think they were kind of putting that up front. They were putting up the therapy up front for Fisk and Vanessa. And I really enjoyed that. I thought the writing was very, very good. And I didn't mind. I sort of forgot that we're watching a Daredevil show for a little while, and that was totally fine for me.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I totally agree, but except for that last part where I love that this is what Daredevil is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it doesn't feel like they're robbing us of him in the suit and robbing us of like action scenes and parkour on rooftops and stuff. Like, we know we're gonna get that stuff. And,
it's coming.
Admittedly, I do think that, and again, I've said this a couple times now, but having just watched the series, it does feel a little like, okay, we're just doing this again of not having him in the suit and stuff. But if that means we're going to get amazing back and forths with so many different characters that represent so many different sides of New York City and what crime and vigilanteism and all of that can mean, especially when you have Fisk as the mayor dealing with his relationship therapy sessions, having the therapist be Daredevil's love interest this season. Everything is just so perfectly intertwined in a way that I feel like is the reason that Spider-Man stories work so well, is that there's always this, all right, well, Spider-Man's dealing with this, but Peter Parker's dealing with that. And it almost feels like every character has to have 2 or 3 levels of connections to each other, and like almost like a rock, paper, scissors type thing of like, you know, this beats that, but that beats this, where are you going to save this thing or are you going to save that thing? You cannot do both, you know? And I think that Daredevil kind of being able to ratchet that up and have the lawyer side of things, and him being able to almost be a detective and figure out all the White Tiger stuff, all of that works, I think, so well, where like, you didn't even mention the Punisher yet. You
we
know
haven't
what I
gotten
mean?
to that. I want to go. I kind of want to go in order, but yeah,
it's just crazy, like how many great back and forths this episode has with characters we know and love, but then also like that Leroy character, just kind of dropping him in. But I think it was a very important perspective to add to just what we've been seeing, and I feel like some of the criticisms I've had in the last couple episodes, I haven't loved all the therapy stuff, and I was like, where are we going with this? I like that we're getting answers, and it's starting to feel really fulfilling. And to get a little bit more clarification on Fisk, specifically towards the end when he has Homie in a fucking cage.
yeah, we do
like,
find him in a place where you're like, okay, well, so he's dealing with his feelings, but he might not be dealing with them in the most morally, correct way.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, let me out of this cage, dude. I've been here for a while.
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, but I love that, because like Kingpin is bad, and I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the idea of like, oh, he's legitimately trying to be a good person. Like, I just don't vibe with
Is
that
he bad,
for
or is
Kingpin.
he just, are his methods just
yes.
evil? Well, that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, yes, he is a bad guy, but are his intentions good, and he's going about them by doing evil things? That's the question that I still have at the end of this episode. I don't look at him sitting there eating dinner, which is crazy to say, but him having a sausage of all things on top of pasta, which is like, oh man, that's just a heart attack waiting to happen. And he's eating this while he's looking at his wife's ex-lover, who he has put in a cage in front of him. So that's some dark shit. And obviously that's some evil shit right there.
Yeah.
Right? But everything we've seen him do up to this point with the city is good. And so I still have there's still a question in my mind as to whether or not he's trying to be a good mayor and trying to right the ship, but doing it with insidious means, or if he's just like, I'm just fucking horrible, and I don't know.
I think it's just for power, right? Like, I don't think he actually cares about the city and all that stuff. But my favorite thing of the Kingpin character in this episode was we've seen him at some lows throughout the Daredevil series. We've never seen him as low as having to hear a bunch of children saying we built this
That
city,
was amazing.
and then hearing it in a different
In
language.
Latvian.
Oh my god,
That was a great laugh.
laughed
I got
so hard, and it just like you saw it, like his D'Onofrio's performance, like of just having to deal with it and put a smile on his face as just this nonsense is happening around him. Like, I thought that was great.
That was pretty great. Yeah, I liked that. I liked going back toward the beginning of the episode. I like Matt Murdock, where we find him where he's looking at his client who's dead. We obviously get his niece comes in and she gets the amulet. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to explore that at all this season. Maybe
Probably
maybe
not this
probably
season.
not.
Yeah,
She seems a bit too young to be out there in the streets fighting crime.
potentially, like Young Avengers feels like it's constantly brewing to some extent, and she's not in that lineup in the comics, but the MCU often changes things. There was a couple interesting tidbits I saw online today from interviews and stuff. The director was saying that the school choir scene had to be re-recorded because the kids were too in tune singing.
Too good.
And so they needed to add kids that were out of tune, which I freaking love.
That's hilarious.
And then there's been some debate over whether or not the amulet eyes light up in the scene that we see it. And apparently, like, I didn't see it. It doesn't look like it does. But the director was saying that they did shoot it where it did. And they were like debating which one to use, which, like, whatever. The canon, I guess, is that it didn't. But I do like that the mystical amulet is still mystical and now in the hands of his niece, which we'll probably get to at some point.
I like this scene. I like that she's basically laying it out like, he got through this, but they still killed him. And Matt Murdock has that great line where he's like, you're right. Somebody should, like, look into who killed him. Like somebody should right this wrong. And you can see him grappling internally with like he knows who that person needs to be.
Yeah.
But it can't be him right now because he's still got the broken horn. He's still noodling.
Yep.
Oh, I can't be Daredevil. I can't be Daredevil. Daredevil can't happen, right? And then from there, we go to that very not touching scene, but like intense scene between him and Vanessa, where she's like, "I'm not the same person you used to be. Like you left me. That hurt me basically." And he's like, "I don't want to hurt you." And then as he's leaving, the therapist says, "I need a moment," and he knows exactly what's happening. She's saying, do you feel safe? And then she has that great scene later where he's like, "What did you say?" She goes, "I do, but should I feel safe?"
Yeah.
And
God,
that's the question
good.
that all of us are asking watching Fisk. Should we feel safe? Are you reformed? And then by the end of this episode, you go, "No, you're not reformed. You're still a stone cold killer." And we see that a little. We see hints of it though. We see it with the D'Onofrio scene too, where the kid's like overacting, like, "I'm so sorry, I messed up everything," and yada yada. And it's like, dude, look, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
It's 4:30. You're on a little bit of ketamine, and you're just saying shit you shouldn't say, right, Tim?
God.
GDC, what's up, everyone?
Like the things you say sometimes.
I know I haven't even gone to a party. Good scene. Technically off the record, but BB Ulrich, playing fast and loose with the journalism rules here.
Yeah.
But we have him be like, "Hey, mistakes happen. Like you're proving your loyalty to me." But then he has that one moment where he's like, "But if you ever do this to me again, it'll be the last thing you do." And you're like, he's serious.
He's fucking
Like, he'll
serious.
fucking
Oh,
kill
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And we have that great moment from the other assistant who's basically just a politician who's just trying to be like abide by the law. And she's like, "Shit, I might be in with the devil here. I don't know." And of course, we get introduced to another character who I'm not even sure what the character's name is. The guy with the bleeding eyes.
Oh, that's Muse.
Muse.
Which is an iconic Daredevil, like one of the big baddies for Daredevil. Obviously, this episode just teasing it more than anything. I think that they'll be the big bad of this season, probably. They are a artist that paint with the blood of their victims.
I figured that as much because
Yeah.
we keep seeing Muse bring back victims, and that by the end of it, he's just sort of like stabbing,
Yeah.
people and sucking their
up.
blood out of their femoral arteries. Fucked up. Very, very interesting to see what's going to happen with that. But so we see that character, we get introduced to that character a little bit. My dumb brain, I'm like, is he the one that shot the guy? Is he pretending to be the Punisher? It's like, no, that's not him. That's definitely not him. This guy doesn't give a shit about that. So let's talk about it.
We got to talk
about it.
Bernthal, baby.
Bernthal's back, and his hair and his beard are looking better than ever. This episode, I think, is called Sic Semper Systema, which I thought was Semper Fi. It's not, so I don't know what the hell that means. Let me look at that. I was going to drop some sick-ass knowledge on you, but Sic Semper... Oh, Systema. Well, let's see what that looks like. That might be a...
Wait, did you... As you were reading it, did you realize it was a different word?
Yeah, definitely.
Got it.
God, that's so funny.
You can look it up for me, Kevin.
One thing that's
Yeah,
really
I-
cool about Punisher.
That's always the system. Okay, so that is actually a reference to the actual, like, the conversations they're having with the system of judgment and stuff like that.
Cool. It's not officially confirmed yet, but like they're talking about it. Like it's happening. I think they're already shooting it and stuff. There's going to be a Punisher one-off special on Disney Plus.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Sick.
And John Bernthal say it's the visceral, psychologically complex, unforgiving, no holds barred version of Frank. They're letting me go to places that I really want to go. And it's like, let's fucking go, man. Because they go there in this episode. Him every time he says red, listen here, red. It's like, oh my God. This is about to be good.
I love this scene. Obviously, he tracks him down by finding the bullet that has rolled through. A little bit of police work would have been easy on that one, guys. We realize he got shot on a slope. There's definitely a slug down there. The Punisher symbol on the bullet. He knows it. He smells it. It smells like Frank Castle. And then he knows where to find him. And obviously, so I did a little bit of watching some recaps and watched the final episode of season 2 of Punisher. Man, for whatever reason, I remember that show completely differently. I thought, oh, for sure he was in prison. He was not. He was in prison in season 2 of Daredevil, I think, right? And that's where he and Fisk got into it a little bit. They had their back and forth. In this one, literally, I thought season 1 was season 2. I thought it ended with him cramming fucking Jigsaw's face into the glass at the carousel. That was the end.
I
of
never
season.
saw any Predator, or not Predator.
Oh, you didn't see any of them? Okay, so
I have not seen any Punisher.
we set up Billy. We set up the relationship with him and his old army or military mates. We set up that the guy becomes eventually a kind of weird version of Jigsaw, not necessarily as maniacal, but definitely as fucked up. And then I thought I could have swore I would have bet dollars for donuts that's where it ended. But no, season 2 is this weird ass season where he's just kind of fighting these like Christian fundamentalists because there was a blackmail thing and yada yada yada. And then by the end of it, final season, the final shot of it is Medina, who is one of the characters in the first couple seasons. She was a Homeland Security agent. She's now working for the CIA in Kandahar, and she's like, we got a high value target, and we got to get you back. You're the best at this job, Frank. You're the only one that can do this, and this is what you were put on this earth to do. Meanwhile, he's like sitting outside of a van watching gang lords, gangsters. What the hell's the word I'm looking for? Gang members. Like go into like this big thing, and they're gonna do a deal or whatever. And he's like, I already have a job. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And that's when he takes out the Punisher vest. And
shit.
He's got the last shot of the show is these two rival gangs like being like, well, I didn't call you here. Did you call me here? Whatever. He's like, I called you. And then it cuts over
him down.
And it's just literally him in the trench coat, like the long leather trench coat.
Actual
and he just
Punisher
opens
outfit.
him up and he's got the 2 SMGs and he's just like, he's just hosing him down. So that's where we left Frank Castle. How I forgot that is beyond me. So he is now just a vigilante that is out there in New York City, just killing everyone.
I mean, that's there's some of the lines there, like talking about like he hears his kid's voice and saying, "Daddy, go." It's like, oh my lord, like this is so messed up. Do you think we see him again this season?
I would think so.
I hope so.
I don't
know though.
Because so much of this is about Punisher that I cannot fathom that this is the last time we see him.
I guess that is right.
It's so that
Seeing
is such
the skull everywhere.
A thing that is going to be happening at least for the next. They have a tendency to do like the bigger stories in like 3 or 4 episode arcs.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to imagine that within the next 6 episodes, we're going to wrap up the whole concept of the Punisher story, so that the Muse story and the Fisk story can kind of come to the foreground. But yeah, I hope so, because I fucking love. First off, I love that he's just in the general manager of a building, like the sub basement.
Yeah.
He's just kicking it there,
Kicking it,
and
man.
he walks in, and there's zero. Like he's made absolutely zero effort to hide the fact that he's the fucking Punisher.
Yeah.
There's just gun racks everywhere, and it's just lockers and all this cool shit. And yeah, this back and forth is amazing, right? He comes there to ask him like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" But really, what he's asking for, and there's a great line with him in Punisher where he goes, "You're not here to ask me for like questions. You're here to ask for permission."
Yeah.
Right. You want to get back out there,
not
Red.
snapping and going to choke him. It's like, God, I love their relationship. It's so freaking good, man.
Yeah, him goading him. What did you think of the Punisher stuff?
I loved it. I really did. I think that he's such a. It is such a credit to John Bernthal that he can play a character like that and make it so believable and kind of sympathetic, which is crazy because I feel like Punisher is a tough one. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, you shoot a lot of people, like, okay, your family died, whatever. But like, I feel like taking away the, like, I don't really care about needing these moral codes of not killing or whatever and all that. It's kind of the opposite of the Superman problem of like, oh, you're just way too powerful.
Right.
It's almost just like when killing is your thing,
You're solving everything with bullets.
it's kind of like, okay, you're not a good guy. He makes you believe though that doesn't matter. You know?
Yes. Is he unhinged?
Yes.
Is he absolutely damaged? Yes. But is there a need for someone to go out there and kill a bunch of bad guys? I guess. I do think that Daredevil is. I like Punisher as a side character in the Daredevil universe.
I think it works very, very.
I think
very
we've
well
seen
that
a
way.
lot of Punisher throughout the years, and I think we've seen a lot of starts for it that haven't necessarily gotten their footing, so to speak. Because this is the third Punisher we've seen, right? We had Thomas Jane, we had Ray Stevens, and then now we've had him. And Warzone was cool.
I never saw any of those though.
Oh, well, the Thomas Jane one's completely ridiculous.
One day, I'm sure we'll
with
when
John
we
Travolta as the bad
finally
guy.
get there. John
They do.
Travolta.
Oh yeah,
It's amazing.
he plays. I forget who he plays. It's not Jigsaw. It's one of the other characters. One of the other big baddies in the Punisher universe. But Thomas Jane being the Punisher was a choice with Rebecca Romaine in that. And then Ray Stevenson, I want to say, or Stevens. Chat can correct me if I'm wrong. Dolph. I forgot. That's right. There's a fourth. Never forget Dolph Lundgren.
Never forget Dolph. Everybody.
Never forget the Punisher and the Captain America movies they made in the late 80s and early 90s that were straight up canon films, direct to VHS films.
Good.
They were
Good.
bad.
We're going to keep talking about Daredevil episode 4 after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or an unexpected hit happens, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, go to shadyrays.com, use code FUNNY to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. This episode is brought to you by Factor. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great, no matter what life throws at you. Greg Miller has been loving how simple it is to enjoy his Factor meals as he's rushing between shows each day here at Kinda Funny. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box, plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. This episode's brought to you by MeUndies. For years, I've been telling you all about how much I love MeUndies. Real talk, I haven't worn a pair of underwear or socks that weren't MeUndies in over half a decade. And that's because I just love how premium they are, how great they look, and awesome they feel. Even my loungewear at home is MeUndies, and I cannot recommend their various shirts enough. MeUndies just gets it. From the all-black classics to fun, expressive prints, MeUndies has a look for everyone. Plus, they come in sizes XS to 4XL, so there's something here for all of you. Its breathable, stretchy, and oh-so-comfy fabric make it ideal for all-day wear. And they use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. Rad. Good things come in big packages at MeUndies. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping on orders of $75 or more at MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Enter code KINDAFUNNY. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Code KINDAFUNNY for 20% off MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in.
And we're back.
I loved Punisher saying candy ass hero shit. I don't want to know that candy ass hero shit.
Just zero fucks given. Just the one thing you got to love about him is that he's not struggling with anything except for his son haunting him in his dreams.
Except for some
but any
PTSD.
moral issue,
Yeah.
he is just like, no, I have no problem killing people. I want to quickly go back to that sic semper systema, which is the name of this episode, which does mean thus always to the system, which loosely translates to any system that is built on oppression is going to eventually crumble. And that was the heart of this episode for me was Matt. There's a lot of sort of one note reasons why people pick to be the fucking, the defense attorney for people, right? And you're like, oh, this guy's a good guy. He just wants to defend people who are, can't defend themselves, whatever. And that's good and that's fantastic. But they very seldom back that up with real points as to why they would do that, right? Or what their perspective is, other than this dude's innocent and I want to prove that he's innocent. And so having those conversations where not only in the span of like 5 minutes, we see Matt Murdock's perspective on the criminal justice system, which is that it's flawed.
Yeah.
And that deterrence doesn't work. And then we have a live example of that with that person's perspective telling us why it failed him because he was given 30 days and missed this thing. And now he doesn't have his welfare payments anymore and he can't afford food. And now he's dumpster diving. And now he's like, fuck it. I just want something that tastes good. That's not coming out of a trash can. And then these cops who are shitheads who are just like, we can go buy it. And they have that one conversation too where he's like, hey man, that's the stuff that I stole. And they go, no, we bought it. And it's like, did you not? It doesn't fucking matter because the only person who's going to get in trouble for this situation is this guy. He's constantly getting shit on. And then we also have Matt's perspective of being like, hey, this is the best I could do because you are a repeat offender. All that stuff in the span of like 5 to 10 minutes, I thought was just so fucking riveting.
It was riveting, man. It was so good. And again, being surrounded by the therapy stuff, all the Kingpin stuff in general, but then the Punisher and Daredevil back and forth being, I think, obviously like the main course of this episode.
Yeah.
I really loved them talking about that, even like talking about the system and how it's not working, and him bringing up Foggy and being like, say his name,
Say
know,
his
it's like,
name.
and like, what'd he get? He got life. It's like, oh, did Foggy get life? I'm like, this is some good shit, y'all.
Yeah,
this
he's
is
like,
real
yeah, he
good
goes,
stuff.
whatchamacallit?
Man, Bullseye.
Bullseye. He's like, Bullseye got life. He goes, did Foggy get life?
And he said Bullseye. He actually called
says
him Bullseye.
Yeah, which is so cool. Man, a couple quotes here that I really, really liked. When Gandolfini is like apologizing and he's like, I forgive you. And he has this great quote where Kingpin says, in the fullness of time, you'll make a better man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why do you say
But
it
he
like,
says it so well.
he says it so well. If I say it sounds cheesy, but he says it so well.
He's good at
We have
saying
another
things.
wonderful quote where they're talking in the therapist's office and she goes, well, did you have he said, I had a conversation with Adam. And she goes, what kind of conversation was it? Basically saying like, did you kill him? Like, was it a violent conversation? And he goes, a clarifying one.
Yep.
Which I don't ever want anyone to refer to anything that I've said as a clarifying moment. And then, yes, of course, all the back and forth with him and Punisher, which was just so littered with subtext as to what they were saying of, you've just got to get back on the horse, man.
And at the end of the episode, we see it, right? We
see him
Muse being
flirting
teased.
with it.
We see, I mean,
we see Fisk going back to his natural habitat, which is to torture, murder, kill, maim, whatever, blackmail. We've already seen him blackmail as well.
Yeah.
He's blackmailed some cops that are corrupt. And then, Daredevil going up to the roof in his best cashmere sweater.
Practicing some nunchucks.
And just practicing his cool nunchaku.
Yeah.
And seeing all of his... Do you think that... How do you think he picks the vibe of the mask for that night? Because they're like different shades of yellow and red. Do you think he's like, I'm feeling more yellow today?
Yeah. I do. I really love, obviously, nothing cooler than a superhero having alt costumes and nothing cooler than him having a closet for it. You know, so seeing all that stuff, very cool. Also, the yellow and red being the color of his dad's boxing outfit.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's like, that shit's just so sick. But so you're thinking he's flirting with it. Like, is it time to get this man in
I
the suit?
don't think we're gonna see him starting this next one. I don't think we see him until like Muse really kicks up and he has to sort of get into that vibe, because there's no real reason for, like, we had the one interaction, another great quote, which we should call out, between him and the officer, where the officer once again calls him out and was like, you're on everyone's radar right now. We're basically going to start fucking with you and you're going to get basically attacked a lot. And then he goes, me and my friends are not very happy with you. Maybe we meet you again in the dark or whatever. And he goes, you're going to have to bring a few more of your friends with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And it's just, Jesus, what are you doing?
Beat your ass.
Yeah, just stirring the hornet's nest, so to speak. But I don't know. There's no real reason for him to get in the suit yet. He's still just investigating who killed him and why. And so until he can exhaust those like legal options, I don't see any real reason for him to do it, but he wants to. You can tell he wants to.
That's
right?
a good
Like,
point.
what's going to get him back in the suit? I mean, it's not Punisher killing people, so he doesn't have to be in there.
Yeah.
Well, he is killing people. He's not killing these people.
Bringing in Muse into this, I do think obviously will be the thing that kind of like starts to make that make sense. I am interested in how they're going to play that. Like, even there's questions we still don't have. Like, there's a lot at play here, which I think is interesting.
A lot of setup. We're setting up a lot.
We're setting up a lot that like could all be connected. It could all just be Kingpin's running this all, or that could just be the easy answer. There's actually more going on, because clearly we're seeing all the corrupt cops with the Punisher logo,
right.
And they addressed that lightly in the conversation. Like, they talked about like, hey, we're seeing logo, and he was like, it's not me, but like he didn't seem like he cared.
He called them fanboys.
Yeah, but like I feel like
fucking way to refer to people to the group of cops as fanboys.
God of the Punisher.
Yeah.
So they'll have to finish that bit somewhere. But then there's the
Punisher's going to have a reckoning with these cops at some point.
Absolutely,
you have to see that.
And I hope that's this season. And then the White Tiger being killed. Like, we don't know who it was, right? We assume it was
a cop.
Just a cop.
I imagine it was that
the guy talking to him.
But we kind of know it's not, because, as you know, Daredevil is a human lie detector. And when the guy when he was saying, "Hey, I know you had something to do with it," he goes,
Wait, you're right.
I didn't do that." And as he says it, we have that moment where he's listening to his heart, and it's just it's constant and steady. And so it's not that guy. I wonder who. It's not the
rogue
Punisher.
headgear says it's neck tattoo cop.
It might be a neck tattoo.
Okay,
cop.
yeah, it could just be the one that kept showing.
One of the neck tattoo cops. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a bunch of them that happened. But yes, that one guy in the front row who's like, yeah. Oh wait, no, I disagree with that. Oh yeah,
yep.
okay. And then the lady's like, yeah. Let's go. No, we have to kill this guy. Probably that guy. I imagine we'll track that person down. Again, I don't know that. I mean, obviously, we're building up that the system is protecting these corrupt police, and so Daredevil might have to come out. But he's doing a great job of being a lawyer and it's actually legal. So far, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
He's 2 for 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bullseye's in jail for life.
Okay. White Tiger's dead.
Well, but White Tiger got off. That's not him. Like, right?
You're right.
He's not. He
You're
wasn't
right.
hired to be the guy's
Yeah.
bodyguard.
You're right.
He was hired to make
You're
sure the
right.
guy didn't do any time
You're
in prison, and
Yeah.
and he got him off in a very, very quick trial. So Matt Murdock, actually a pretty fucking capable lawyer, and got this guy who was supposed to do 35 days down to 7 days.
And doesn't need Foggy.
And doesn't need Foggy's
Doesn't need
dumbass.
Foggy, man.
Hated that character so badly. I know you hated the what's her
Karen.
name? Yeah, Karen. But
Yeah.
man, I forgot Karen was actually in Punisher as well. That's all just sort of.
It's
a
of
thing.
course.
You should watch the first season of Punisher. It's
I
actually
would.
pretty
Some
good.
point I'm gonna
It's
watch
just
all
it's
of
it
it.
got a little convoluted with his old troop and like the bad guy. There's always a bad guy. It's running a paramilitary organization, all that shit.
Don't tell me about a fucking paramilitary organization. I don't want to hear it.
Cerberus.
What I do want to hear is your thoughts in the comments below on episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again. How hyped are you for the rest of the season? Do you think we're getting more Punisher? Johnny Bernthal, Kurt Angle's cousin, I think.
They look alike.
But I think they're actually cousins.
Are they really?
Yeah.
That's
something
cool.
like that. They're related. I don't remember the exact relation, but it's cool stuff, man. Maybe he's just married into the family. I don't know. Let me
Tim-
know in the comments as well.
Okay, before we go, because I know you're outroing right now.
Mhm.
If when you and I do a second one of these when it's just us again,
Mhm.
which I very much enjoyed your conversation.
Yes.
today. Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course.
I think we need to do on the other monitors, me poking out of one side, you poking out of
Alright,
the other
cool. We
side,
can
but
do
kind
that.
of facing each other.
We
A
can
little
do
bit
it.
like that.
Face
Like maybe we come out of each other's
off.
faces. Yeah.
Stay tuned for Nuzlocke. Nick's going to get in there. How many badges you have?
I have 4 badges right now, and we are currently trying to increase our friendship level with our Eevee, that we can create a dark Umbreon.
Yes.
But there is a massive Reddit thread on how to do that, and for the gentleman
Friendship
that put that
levels.
on there, who I'm going to call it right now, actually, because it was done by a Life of Lemons over on the Reddit. Thank you for this 6-step guide on how to do this, and I will tell you right now, I'm more confused now after having read
He's
it
only going to do
than I
4.
was before.
Thanks for the 6 steps. He's only going to do 4 of them,
I'm
and
gonna
they're not
do
going to be
3
the
of
4 you
these
think.
steps, and we're gonna welcome into the world whatever the hell this thing becomes.
Oh man.
I love it. Well, if you're on Twitch, stay where you are. If you're on YouTube, you're going to have to make the jump over to the Nick Lock. It's going to be a great time. I love you all. Goodbye.